Thank you all so much for coming out. I am Melissa Everett. I'm acting chair of the Town of Enfield Clean Energy Committee, and so I'm welcoming you to the launch of Solarize Enfield. This is one of a wave of launch events in Glastonbury and North Haven and Cheshire and Stafford, a very exciting campaign endorsed by the town that helps make it easier and cheaper for households to go solar. And what better time? So I will be just setting this up and giving a little structure to the evening and then introducing the real program content. And we're going to get you hopefully informed, inspired, interacting with the installers, scheduled for an assessment if you're persuaded, and out of here before it's an ungodly hour. Let me just say that the Town Clean Energy Committee is official town committee. Its job is to basically inform and inspire and support the residents in saving energy, saving money, and making better use of clean energy sources that are before us. So we don't deal with the town boilers, and we don't deal with lobbying and ideology. We just really deal with service and information and helping to spread the good ideas of renewable energy and energy efficiency. And so I was so thrilled to hear about a structure called Solarize, because you all know solar energy is cool. Solar energy is becoming cost competitive. Everybody believes in it, and more people have bought pet rocks than have actually bought solar panels at this time. As Brian Keene, the CEO of Smart Power, is fond of saying. So Smart Power is an organization devoted to marketing and just helping bring solar energy to people in an affordable, straightforward way. And they have created this framework called Solarize for that purpose. So I want to thank you all for being here. And what we're going to do is have a quick welcome from our Mayor Scott Copen, whose support we've been really honored and appreciative of. And then I will be introducing Kate Donnelly from Smart Power and Robert Schmidt from CEFIA, which is an acronym for the Connecticut Energy Finance and Investment Authority. But they are the state people with the money who do the quality assurance for the programs to make sure that what you're getting is the good stuff. And then Kate and Robert will give you the real content, and we'll introduce the three dedicated installer groups that are here to bring solar into Enfield over the next 5 months. Thank you for being here, and thank you, Scott.
All right. Well, good evening, everyone. And I just want to thank Melissa and all of the members of our Clean Energy Committee. I tell you, anytime it's a new idea, it's a new committee, there's always the starts and stops. And but Melissa's come on board and with the core group, and we've added some new members as well. They are the driving force behind avenues like this to provide information to you on what are your clean energy options out there, and solar being one. They also, she said she doesn't lobby. Believe me, the group lobbies the town because municipal government tends to be slow at initiating anything new. And we've had some of our starts and stops as well. And the town can do better as well. And what I think will make the town do better is when the residents start standing up and saying, we want the town to support clean energy and initiate clean energy projects. So we have a few on the books, but I think who's gathered here, you'll probably far surpass what we're going to do as a town in the next couple of years, because the initiative really is here at the individual level. I thank you for your interest. I thank all of the different vendors, companies for being here as well, and encourage you to get involved in the town. If clean energy is what really interests you, I know we still have some openings on the Clean Energy Committee, and we'd love to appoint you and have you come aboard and start to drive the initiatives for the town of Enfield. So I'm looking forward to learning what I can, and again, appreciate your participation and being here this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. And just before we introduce Kate and Robert, I want to introduce Valerie Bach from our committee. Greg Mark, where did you get to?
Right here, hiding.
Oh, sorry, hiding in plain daylight. Dan Glogowski, newest member of the committee. Is Anne Marie Dooley here? She's just, yeah, yay!
I made it.
Okay, welcome. So we have two newly appointed members of the committee. Doug Lombardi could not join us tonight, but it's a great group. And it is eager to support Kate and Robert in bringing the, what is it, like the 15th or 16th Solarize launch? Something like that? Woo! Tell us about it.
All right, hello everybody. My name is Robert Schmidt. I am an associate of marketing and outreach at the Clean Energy Finance and Investment Authority. We are a quasi-state agency here in Connecticut. Our acronym is SEPIA. It's probably a little shorter and easier to remember. And I'm here tonight with Kate Donnelly.
Hi, I'm from Smart Power, which, as Melissa said, is a marketing and outreach firm for energy efficiency and clean energy. And we are hired by SEPIA to help with outreach and marketing for the Solarize campaigns.
So we are here tonight to talk about Solarize Enfield, part of our Solarize Connecticut initiative. We've solarized about 30 different points. We're working in a number of them right now, and Enfield is one of them. We're very excited to be here, and thank you guys all for coming out tonight, and for the town leaders for supporting this, and the Energy Committee. We are very excited to be working with you guys. The theme of this program, it's a concentrated outreach effort. We'll be here for the next 20 weeks working to educate people about solar technology, and our theme is Solar, Simple, Together. As Melissa said, solar, it's a proven technology. We see it all the time. There are people in your town who have put it on. They've been getting their energy from solar for a long time now, and they're all very happy with it. It's a proven technology, but sometimes it can be difficult to pursue that technology. So there's barriers in the way. There's a lot of installers out there. There's around 70 in the state of Connecticut. It can be hard to get accurate information. It can be hard to get trustworthy information. So this program tries to simplify that process. And we're also doing it together, so it's a community effort. Again, we're doing this with the town leadership. We're doing it with all of you, and we're having these community-type workshops and that type of thing to help educate you about the technology and what's out there for you.
So the goal of Solarize is to get more residential solar in the state of Connecticut. And the other towns that have participated so far have done, in the 20-week program, they've done more solar than the previous 7 years in each of the towns. So it's a way to really promote it and get it so it's easy for people to understand and more affordable. It's state and town sponsored, so you should all know that the town officials went through a process where Derek and Melissa came and did some, listened to, and Matt Kopler, the town manager. They came and looked through all the proposals that solar companies put in to do your town, and they chose these 3 installers that are here this evening. So it was a very extensive process, and they decided based on things like cost and reliability and the reputation of the company. So it was a very extensive process, so you should know and feel comfortable that your town really vetted these installers and are really recommending them to you to move forward. The campaign uses coordinated outreach. We rely on the community members to help do the outreach and to speak with your neighbors and friends and try to help them, learn about solar. So we're looking for all of you to become involved in helping the program move forward. And it's really like a group purchasing model. So, the prices are about 20% less than market price. And the way that our installers are able to do that is that they're in your town working on hopefully many different homes at the same time. So they're able to coordinate their installations and save money that way. And also by working with Smart Power and SEPIA and the task force, we're able to do a lot of the marketing that they normally would have to do on their own.
So just a little bit about some of the different players that you'll be seeing throughout this program. The Clean Energy Finance and Investment Authority, we did design and administer this Solarize program. But one of the big things we're doing behind the scenes is providing incentives on solar PV systems. So that's both purchased or leased systems. You'll have the option to do both through this program. And we buy the cost of those systems down, making the technology more affordable and accessible to residential systems. We also offer a number of financing products for solar and other energy upgrades. The installers that you're working with might have some options of their own, different leases and loans, but we in particular have a few that we offer, and we'll talk a bit more about those later. And we're also here to assist all parties with any issues. So if you ever have a concern or an issue, you can come talk to us. My information will be at the end of this presentation, and you can also come up and grab me at the end of the workshop tonight. But we're here if anybody has a concern. The installers, the town, anyone, we're here for that. And we also conduct quality control of all of the systems installed through our program. We vetted the equipment that these guys will be using. We've made sure to inspect systems after they're installed. And we just ensure that the quality of systems is high in order to receive those incentives and rebates.
And Smart Power, I'm here to help you with education and outreach in the towns. We develop marketing materials. You see the lawn signs up here. If anyone wants to take a lawn sign, put it in the lawn and talk to people, they can do that this evening. We have flyers and signs, other banners that you could use, and just helping coordinate that outreach. We also track the weekly data to see who's doing what and how the program is going. And if there are any issues with the program, you can talk to me or Robert about that. And really, one of the really dynamic things about this program is the use of solar ambassadors. And basically, solar ambassadors are anyone who's excited about solar, maybe people who have installations on their home, maybe just people who think it's a good technology and want to work towards it. And we have some solar ambassadors in this room, and I would like you guys to stand up so people can see who you are. And you have and there we go, back here. And these people, the three people who are here, all have solar systems on their houses. So if you have any questions, like real questions about, you know, how it is, what kind of savings they've been able to realize because of it, those ambassadors are the people to talk to. And anyone who wants to be an ambassador at this meeting, just sign up with Melissa, and we'll have many opportunities for you to go out and do tabling. If you're part of a civic organization, or if you work with the PTO and you want to have a presentation, we'll be able to get the installers and other people to come and present. So we're really looking for you to help us spread the word. And one of the things that Smart Power does is has a website. It's solarizeCT.com/Enfield. And on it, you'll find lots of really important information. First and foremost, it has a link that will link you to the 3 installers. So if you're interested in getting more information or scheduling a free site visit, you just click onto that link and fill out the form, and they all will be able to contact you. It also has a lot of really valuable information around financing. We're going to present some stuff about financing this evening, but some of it's pretty, I mean, it's just too much all at once. So if you want to go and really figure out, is the lease or the loan or purchasing outright best for you, you can find that information on the website. There's also frequently asked questions that you can look at, questions about general stuff about solar technology, specific things about the Solarize program and who Cepheid is, and all kinds of questions. So your page, Enfield, already has 3 people's systems up there, and I think that one of them is coming in the next slide, but they're up, not yet. I changed the order. So we have photographs of people's installations in Enfield, and we have testimonials of people in Enfield who do have systems. So that's a really good way to look at what they've got, and if you want to speak with those people, you can get in touch with them through the website or through Melissa or the town hall.
So one of the things I mentioned earlier was that sometimes it can be difficult for people to go solar because they don't know who to go to. If you were to go to our website right now, you'd find a list of some 60 to 70 different installers who do residential solar. And that's a lot of different names to sift through. But we've worked with your town to identify 3 highly qualified installers that are using vetted equipment, and those are CTEC Solar, RGS Energy, and Ross Solar Group, who are all present here tonight. You'll hear from them in a few minutes. But we want you guys to know that they've been vetted, they are qualified, the town was comfortable bringing them in, and we're very excited to have them here tonight. So hopefully that will make the process of going solar a little easier for you, knowing that you can approach one of these vetted installers. In Solarize Choice, each of these installers actually bid in a fixed price. They do potentially have adders if special equipment's required. Perhaps you'd like to go with a American-made panel, you might pay a little extra for that. But they do, and it's very competitive pricing, somewhere around 15 to 20% lower than what you would pay in the market right now, because they're able to offer discounts, because we're helping them in this program to market their technology and to give them some other efficiencies that allow them to do that. By having 3 installers here, we're providing you with a choice. So these guys will all offer things that are a little different from each other. They'll talk about those differences themselves. But this is a 20-week program. So we're ensuring those prices that they bid in and the technology and the equipment for 20 weeks from this week. So that's a very important thing to remember. The incentives for systems will be going down after that time. So it's never been a better time for residents in Enfield to go solar. I forgot to put that slide, but that summarizes everything. How solar works. So I like to start off this slide by saying, Kate and I, we are not the experts on solar. Kate does have solar on her home. She can tell you all about it. I've been working on marketing solar for a couple years now, but the real experts tonight are the 3 installers in the back of the room. So they're the ones that are going to come out to your home, look at your specific situation, sit down with you and design a system for your needs. But we do want to provide a little information at a high level here. So tonight we're talking about electric solar systems. So some of you might be familiar with solar hot water. This is a solar system that provides electricity for your home. And we're talking about a grid-tied system. So we're not talking about an island system with batteries or anything like that. We're talking about a system that is strictly connected to the grid. You'll see the key components here. One of them is a photovoltaic panel or a solar panel. Each of these installers will be offering different makes and models of solar panels. They can tell you what makes those special, but essentially what they do is they convert sunlight into DC energy. Now the things in our home, they don't run on DC energy, they run on AC energy. So you'll be using something called an inverter to convert that energy. Many of those inverters will be what we refer to as a central inverter, which will take the energy from all of the panels, turn it into AC that you can use in your home. But there is also available microinverters that will do that on each panel. Again, each installer will be using different equipment, different models, and they'll be able to tell you about the specific things they're using and what makes them special. The electricity goes from the inverter into your home, and you can use it for all your things. Now, one important thing for you to know is that in Connecticut we do have something called net metering. What net metering does is it allows you to take the energy you're producing from your system and use it really any time. So there's going to be times where your system is producing more energy than you're using. That energy will go back into the grid, and your meter will keep track of how many kilowatt hours are going back onto the grid. There will be other times where you're using more energy than your system is producing. So your meter will be spinning just like it normally would. At the end of a month, you'll balance that out. So if you overproduced and you put more into the grid, you'll carry those credits over to the next month. If you used more than your system produced, you'll receive a small bill from CLMP, but it's not based on what you're using at the time. It's balanced over the course of a month and eventually a year. And that electricity, like I said, these are utility grid connected systems. One of the common questions we get is what happens if the power goes out? Your system is not going to work unless you decided to look into a battery backup option. You can speak to these guys about if they do offer that.
So what makes a house solar friendly? Ample sunlight, little to no shading. So sometimes trees are an issue, or structures on the roof might be an issue. But as Alex likes to say, no house is really, most houses now are able to accommodate a system because the technology has changed so much. A southerly exposure is important, but not essential. A 35-degree roof pitch is also ideal. I think that's about a 45. What do you guys think? 45? I'm starting to understand my roof pitches a little better. And that is the Enfield couple. Are they here? Oh, here you go. That's your system, which is a typical system. And you need a roof that's in good condition. And each installer will talk to you about that, like at what point you need to replace your roof versus using that roof as it is, and then having the system come down and go back up when you need to replace your roof. So that's something the installers really look into and help you figure out. If you can't accommodate it on your home, though, a ground-mounted or pole-mounted system are certainly available and are part of this program. They do require added money to the price that's out there. This is another Lenny and Ellen Martin's home in Enfield. Are they here? No? This is their home. I think they had a really great quote. They just pay $16 a month for the connection fee, and they are able to get all of their energy from their solar panels. And here's another ground mount in Enfield. So Enfield's got a lot of solar, and it's very impressive to me. And this is Will Pryor. He's underneath it. And it's a system that he has an example of a ground mount. So you really can put them anywhere. You don't have to have huge plots of land in order to do the ground mount.
And it's great that you have so many people in town that have gone solar, because those are great people to ask your questions to. If you have any tonight, they'll all be happy to talk to you about their experiences. As I mentioned earlier, CEFIA, the Clean Energy Finance Investment Authority, we do offer incentives that bring down the cost of systems put onto residents throughout the state. Right now, those incentives are at the levels I'm about to describe, but they will go down over time. These are locked in for the duration of this program. But as I mentioned, there's never really been a better time to go solar because the incentives will be going down in the future. Right now, you can receive up to $1.75 off per watt off of a 5 kilowatt or smaller system. The way that solar pricing is described is kind of like dollars per square foot when you buy flooring. So you're going to see dollar per watt numbers used. When the installers indicated their pricing for this program in responding to our RFP, that's how they had to establish their pricing was dollars per watt. For a larger system, between 5 and 10 kilowatts, you still receive that $1.75 a watt off the first 5 kilowatts, but the second half of the system is incented at a lower amount, 55 cents per watt. And anything bigger than that does not receive an incentive from CEFIA. Now, these are kind of confusing numbers, but each installer will sit down across the table from you in your home and work through exactly what size system you need, because not everybody needs the same size system, and determine what your rebate will be. The incentive is capped at 35% of the total cost, so that's an important detail to remember. And if you do have poor site conditions, they could be lower too. So if you have a lot of shading or you just don't have the right roof for it, it's possible that your incentives would not be as high. There is also a performance-based incentive, so if you do choose to lease a system, there are incentives that buy down that cost. They won't come off the top in the same way, that you won't see the savings necessarily. There's something that's going to the installer over time to make the cost of the system cheaper to you on a monthly basis. And one important detail is that installers do handle all the rebates. So you don't have to work with us to do a lot of paperwork or that kind of thing. The installers really take care of that process for you. You're also not waiting for rebate checks from us or anything like that. All those payments go directly to the installer to buy down the cost of your system. And there's also a federal tax credit of 30% of the project cost, net of the rebate. When you combine these two things, you could be saving upwards of 50% of the cost of your system. So, Average system in the state of Connecticut, somewhere around 6 to 7 kilowatts. Again, the installer will sit down with you and determine your exact size. This is what you might be looking at for a cost for that system. Again, each of these installers provided a price to us. They will vary slightly, and this is a blended rate that we've used here of $363 a watt. I will comment that the market average is somewhere around $450 a watt, so you can see there's some pretty substantial savings here already. Average system cost of around $25,000, minus a Cepia rebate of $8,900. Your out-of-pocket expense is $16,500, and you still have a 30% federal tax credit. So this is what you're looking at as a potential out-of-pocket cost for a system that might do your whole home. Now, if you're very efficient, it could be less than this. If you're using a lot of energy, it could be higher than this, but this is a typical system. However, if that out-of-pocket amount is a little scary to you, there are a number of financing options. And these are three that Cepia has worked very hard to develop. I do want to mention that you should check with each individual installer because they all have unique products that they offer. And those are different lease products and different loan products. But many of them are offering these. The Smart E-Loan is a loan product available through local banks and credit unions. It's quick, it's easy, you own your solar, and you don't need a down payment. So you can put solar on your home for no money down. Terms range from 5 to 12 years, depending on what you're looking for. But another great feature of this is you can roll in some efficiency measures. So if you're looking to do insulation at the same time, or maybe even need a new roof, this loan will let you do that. So it's a great product for people in that situation. We also have the CT Solar Loan. This has low monthly payments, makes purchasing affordable. You do own the system, and it has a 15-year term, which is a little longer than the Smart E loan. You do need to put a minimum of 5% down, but it has some great features, including letting you re-amortize after you get your tax credit. So you could be saving on a monthly basis over what you pay your utility bill now. And finally, if you're interested in leasing, we do have the CT Solar Lease. Hassle, worry-free. Again, if you want to go solar for no money down, this is a great way to do it. You don't own your solar. Somebody else does, but that also means they have to take care of it if anything ever goes wrong with a panel. Their warranties, their time has to go into fixing that. No down payments required as long as the cost is under $450 a watt. Average price for this program is going to be well under that. But if you do decide to go with some adders, maybe you want some high efficiency panels, you could get closer to this amount. And it's a 20-year lease. So you're looking to put a system on your home for 20 years with that.
And it is transferable if you sell your house, so that you can transfer the lease.
Yep, and there will be options with that program, both to buy out the system at the conclusion, or potentially to extend your lease if you were comfortable with that.
Or to remove it from your home.
Yes.
So the next steps, we encourage people to sign up tonight. You can do that at any of the installers' tables, and we also have sign-up sheets here. If you're not quite sure, you could go home and get on the website and sign up there. You'll be contacted by all three installers. That's how Choice is going to work. And it's really up to you to decide whether you want to get estimates and proposals from 1, 2, or all 3 installers. I mean, why not all 3? They're doing it for free, is my opinion. But you can do it in any way that you want. Each installer will make a site visit to your home, and they'll provide you with system proposal. They'll do a lot of preliminary work before they even get to your home on GIS and GPS systems, Global Earth, and all those things. And so they'll provide you with a proposal, and then you can really compare and contrast what the proposals are. They'll talk to you about the systems and the equipment and the pricing. So if you decide to, like Robert said, if you decide to move forward, the installers take care of all the paperwork and incentives. So there's really very little that you have to do besides write the check and sign the documents.
So as we mentioned earlier, this is a 20-week campaign. Very important to take note of this date. You must sign up by April 15th if you want to take advantage of all the added value of this program. So that's 20 weeks, but 20 weeks does go by very quickly. So it behooves you to get a site visit from these guys as soon as you can, but do keep this date in mind. If you visit the website that Kate mentioned, this date will be there. We'll make sure you remember it. We'll remind you about it as it gets closer, but do keep it in mind.
It's a really good date because it really reminds you of that 30% tax incentive.
And if you do need to get in touch with myself or Kate, our information is here. You can also get a hold of us if you go to the Solarize website, and you can always reach out to the town as well. Melissa knows how to get a hold of us. She's got us on speed dial. So if you need to get a hold of us, we are here to help you. So what we're going to do now is we're actually going to let each installer come up and let them tell you a little bit about their company and why they're here tonight. The first is going to be CTEC Solar, and I believe...
Alphabetical.
It's alphabetical. I believe Mickey Toro will be coming up with that introduction. And Mickey has done a number of Solarize campaigns now, so I will give him the floor.
Great, thank you, Robert. Well, as Robert said, my name is Mickey Toro. I'm one of the owners of CTEC Solar. We are a Connecticut-based company, been here doing solar technically for over 30 years. We partnered with a group about 5 years ago that had been doing solar thermal in the state, actually making our own solar panels, putting them on homes all over the state, and they're still operable to this day. We created CTEC Solar when we merged, and we currently do solar thermal and solar PV. So I'm here to welcome you. Thank Sophia and Smart Power for having us out here. Thank you all for coming. We really are honored to be a part of this with the other two companies involved in Solarize Choice. I don't want to waste too much time because we are limited. I did want to introduce myself and let you know, as the owner of the company, I'm always here to our clients for questions or any concerns that you might have. I think that's important for you to know. But I also brought a couple of the team members out here. Why don't you guys come over here real quick? I want to introduce you. I think it's important for you guys to understand there's a lot that goes on in a transaction, in a project, and there's put some faces to some names that you might be hearing or seeing out in the field. Alex, who's here as a sales manager, is going to be doing the presentation in just a minute. He'll be also visiting you in your homes. Jacob Wheel is an inside salesperson who will be setting site surveys and answering any questions that you might have. Next is Andrew, and he's also a solar consultant. You'll be seeing him out in the field. Lori is our inside sales coordinator, so she'll be working with you as a one-point contact once your contracts are signed and answering any questions that you might have. Mike Morrison is our scheduler and procurement director in the office, and he handles all the installations, ordering material, and scheduling your installations. Glenn is our operations manager, director of operations. He handles all of our internal and field operations, and he's very intricate in the process of making sure that your projects go the way that they're supposed to. And what's your name, Mark? Mark Oberly is also a solar consultant, and you'll be seeing him out in the field as well. And David Henry is actually wears a lot of hats, but he will be the gentleman that you may see out in the field in your home, but mostly you'll see him on your roof, measuring your roof and checking all the metrics for a solar installation as our solar site assessor. So I wanted to just give you a chance to do that, and now allow Alex to go through our quick presentation about a little bit more about who we are. And again, thank you for coming out.
Sure. Thanks, Mickey. So as you said, I'm Alex Fox. I'm a sales manager for CTEC Solar, but I am also one of the people that will be coming out and actually meeting with you and visiting you in your homes. Do you mind controlling my slide? Yeah. So I'll give a quick background into who we are and what we're trying to do. So as Mickey said, our history is sort of in solar thermal. So we were actually born in 1976, essentially installing solar thermal or solar hot water systems during kind of the first energy crisis, taking advantage of a lot of the incentives that were available at that time. Over the years, we've installed hundreds of solar thermal systems in the state of Connecticut, as well as some of the largest commercial solar thermal projects in the state, maybe even in the country. About 5 years ago, the company was purchased by Mickey and Gene Rosenberg, MGA. MGA, or Gene particularly, was the original founder of Bob's Discount Furniture, which I'm sure a lot of people here are familiar with. And I usually mention that for a few main reasons. One of them is, if you're familiar with the TV commercials, a campaign they had a few years ago was essentially that if you want to talk to the owner of the company, you could actually call them. And that's something that we really take to heart, is providing a first-rate customer service experience, and really giving everyone that sort of specialized individual attention. Mickey's the owner of the company, and I know that you could pick up the phone and call him and actually talk to him if you wanted to. So that's really part of our primary focus. But also, we do have a strong financial backing behind us, so we're a large company in that sense. And you have the peace of mind as a homeowner that we're going to be around to, service the warranty and, service your solar system. We've introduced an industry-first 13-year labor warranty, and that's something that, we stand behind. We've been in business for 30 years and plan on being in business for 30 more. Today we do offer both photovoltaic, which is what we've primarily been talking about, was what Robert was describing earlier, systems, but we do also offer solar thermal. So part of our real focus is trying to work with you individually as a homeowner to find the right solution for your particular home. So if your site for some reason isn't suitable for solar PV, or maybe it's a very suitable site for solar PV as well as solar thermal, or maybe your heating bill is more of a concern to you, we can find that right solution. And obviously we're offering the most competitive prices possible under the program, but we do also offer a full array of equipment. So in terms of both centralized inverters, micro inverters, and different types of panels in order to find a solution that's really right for every customer's home. I think we already sort of went through basically how it works. Going to the next one, I think if there's one real message that I could send people home with here tonight, it's that solar is really affordable for everyone. And one thing that we've tried to do, in conjunction with Sophia and taking advantage of a lot of their programs that Robert talked about, is to provide some creative financing solutions so that people can go solar for either zero or a little bit of money down, start saving money immediately on their electric bill, and then after a time actually be able to own the system outright. One of the products that we offer, which Robert touched on a little bit earlier, was the Connecticut Solar Loan. The Connecticut Solar Loan is really designed so that for 5% of the system's cost down, a small amount of the system's cost down, you can put solar up and start saving money. The interesting feature of this loan is that it can be re-amortized or refinanced any time within the first 18 months. So typically what we see if you have a fairly good solar site is that initially you might be paying a little bit more on your monthly loan payment than what you're saving in electricity. But if you take the tax credit when you receive it, within the 18-month period, and buy down the loan for the amount of that tax credit, once the loan is re-amortized, you're actually saving money immediately on the system. Your price is then fixed for the 15-year term, so as electric rates go up, you increasingly save more money, and then at the end of the term, you actually own the system outright. This is a big benefit too, because it allows you to really build equity in your home, build equity in something that you actually own. And one nice thing about living in the state of Connecticut is that the state has passed a law that you cannot be assessed any additional property tax for the improvement to your home. So that's one option. The other primary option we offer is the Sunrun Solar Lease. So Sunrun is the largest or second largest leasing company in the United States. They have over 40,000 systems in operation. We're one of a few partners of Sunrun. And the solar lease essentially allows people to go solar for, there are a few different options, but you can go solar for as little as zero money down, basically be saving money in your monthly payment immediately, and you don't have any of the headaches of having to worry about getting a tax credit, reapplying it to your bill, so on and so forth. You know, systems maintained, essentially owned and operated by the finance company. Though you do have options to buy it out at certain points within the 20-year term or at the end of the term for the fair market value. So I think, and just sort of to tie everything together, you know, we really appreciate the opportunity to come here and share with you. We're really looking forward to meeting with you in your homes and you know, helping to design a solution that you know, is right for you. We are, you know, a local company. We're headquartered in Simsbury, just a couple of towns over, and you know, we're really invested in the you know, in the state of Connecticut and, you know, growing business here and working with people in our own communities.
Great, and thank you, Alex. And again, that was CTEC Solar. We'll have Alex come back after the other two to take questions with all the other installers, and you will have an opportunity to talk to each of these guys at the end. The next installer is Real Goods Solar, and I believe that's Eric that will be presenting for Real Goods. As Eric's coming up here, I mentioned CTEC's done a number of Solarize campaigns. Real Goods and Ross have all done a number of Solarize campaigns. And Eric, the floor is yours.
Thanks. So as Robert said, my name is Eric Wilson. I'm a senior solar power consultant with Real Goods, which you'll hear me say, but we're changing our name to RGS Energy. So you'll be hearing that a lot more. It's been about 2 years since we've changed our name, so it's about time for it to happen again. Those of us who know us, that's funny for you. But RGS basically got started in California as Real Goods in 1978, and that was on the West Coast. Here in New England, we started as a company called SolarWorks back in 1981. So we've got deep New England roots, and currently, right here we have our commercial headquarters in Wilton, Connecticut, and our East Coast operations is actually out of Stonington. So very much a Connecticut-based company. We have, you know, over 20 employees here in Connecticut, and been here for a while, and certainly consider it as one of our homes. So you can go to the next slide. So as far as the names go, what we've, you know, in the solar boom earlier in Terrace Renewables, that's probably a name that rings a bell to some of you. We've got, under that name is where we did most of our over 700 installs here in Connecticut. Publicly traded on NASDAQ, we're a publicly traded company, you know, which basically means, you know, we need to run a good business. We have you know, shareholders to answer to, as well as, you know, customers first and foremost. Nationwide, we have over 15,000 customers, and that's systems installed going a ways back. So, you know, really, the important thing about us that I want you to know is that, you know, we're a large company, and with that is obvious benefits of you know, bringing the resources of a large company. But here in New England especially, it's important to be regionalized. Each state has their own programs, and we're very much a regionalized company, both for sales and operations. So we're really able to you know, give you the best of both worlds there. So also, as far as Solarize goes, you know, we've done pilot programs in Connecticut, pilot programs in Massachusetts. Just coming off of lots of success with Solarize Mass, right in Western Mass. Solarize Northampton, we did 110 jobs in that, just ended Halloween. So 110 there, and then another over 80 in Williamstown in the same period, and Lee, Mass, we did over 40. So it's close to 250 jobs in Western Mass in that Solarize period there. The reason why I stress that is because we're able to scale to the needs of Enfield. I mean, I'm hoping you guys knock it out of the park and do like a megawatt. It'd be great. And we'd be able to handle that for you. So whatever you need, we're able to make it happen for you. So you can go ahead to the next slide. Full service solar integration. One thing I want to stress is our installers are our installers. We don't sub out. They work directly for us. They're W-2 employees. So they're going to show up in Real Goods gear, or RGS gear, I should say, with RGS hats and RGS trucks. All of our employees are background checked, so people that you're welcoming into your home are thoroughly checked out. And most of our installers have been with us for a really long period of time. So you can go to the next slide. It's a turnkey process. I just want to give you a little background on how this process is going to go. So what's going to happen is you're going to make an inquiry, whether that's here tonight or online, phone. That inquiry is going to go to all of the installers, and you're going to get a follow-up phone call from us within 24 hours. At that time, our inside sales folks, they're gonna take a look at your house online. They're gonna ask you some questions about your bill and just really get overall feasibility of things and give you a little bit more education on the process. From there, they're gonna schedule probably me for a while, but there will also be other sales folks out. And then what I'm gonna do when I get out there are other salespeople. We're gonna assess the house, the structure of the house, how much shade you get, or actually how much sun you get, and hopefully not a lot of shade. And generally take a look at your needs, what your bills are, what you plan on doing in the future, et cetera, and size the system according to roof space or ground space, and or what your electric needs are. So we'll create a proposal based on your needs, whether that's a lease, a PPA, power purchase agreement, or just a straight purchase, and go over all the details with you. So from there, one of our site techs is going to go out, assess all in a little greater detail, kind of with engineering glasses. You say, yes, I want to go ahead and do this. He's going to come out, report some information. That's going to go to our designers. They're going to design a system, do a structural review for you. So it's going to get a structural engineer stamp. Every single one of our jobs gets structural engineer stamp. And then, 1-line and 3-line electrical drawings so we can submit for interconnection and permits. And then from there, install happens. And that's an exciting time. And your system gets installed, you flip the switch, and you're going solar. So that's the process. You can go to the next slide. So some options. Our philosophy is not a cookie cutter approach. It's really tailored to the needs of each customer. So we take a look at, how long you've been in the home, how long you want to be in the home, and various other things, and then go over what makes the most sense for you. Purchase is obviously pretty straightforward. You own the system. And then there's a PPA, which stands for Power Purchase Agreement. And what that basically means is you're buying the energy that the system produces at a lesser rate than you would pay CL&P. And that can be some money down or no money down, so you have options there. And then we're doing the Connecticut Solar Lease, which it's good to have it back. I was with Alteris 5 years ago when it was just an incredible program, so it's really, really nice to have that back. And that's really the main options, and there's some sub options under that. So whatever is most applicable for you, that's what we want to provide. So get the next slide. Oh, and one thing we want to do to really kick things off right is we're going to give a $500 Visa gift card for anybody going solar by November 30th, as is Ross, as is CTEC. So we agreed on that as an installer to really kick this program off. That's one of the things we're going to offer. And that's pretty much it. I just want to thank you all for coming. I really want to thank the town for choosing us. It's really an honor. Enfield's very lucky. You guys have 3 of the best installers, in my opinion, in the country. So they did a great job picking installers. I'm honored to be with these guys. Everybody's gonna really make the program successful. So thanks very much. I'll be in the back for questions later on. Appreciate your time.
And again, we will have some questions formally up here at the conclusion. We do understand, actually, as Eric's colleague Jim called this at our last choice launch, it's like solar speed dating. And now we have Peter from Ross Solar Group.
Everybody, thanks for coming. We're excited to be here, and I think all of the installers are excited to be here. This is a great program, and it's very successful. It's the 30th one for Connecticut, and I can tell you, having been already in a couple of them, that it's a great program. The solar is going to save you money, and the Solarize campaign itself is going to reduce it even more. Go to the next slide. That's really okay, thanks. Ross Solar. We've been chosen by Pfizer, Walmart, Bed Bath & Beyond. 11 Connecticut towns have chosen to use us. SunPower is probably the best panel in the entire world right now. We were the first SunPower dealer to achieve the elite status in New England. That's the largest buying of panels and installing of panels. We were solar SunPower dealer for 2011 for the Northeast. All the good installers have to be NAPCEP certified, and of course we are. I think we all are. What the previous gentleman mentioned is there is sometimes an industry kind of standard of using a lot of subcontractors, and we don't. All the installers are employees, and that's very important. That means you get experienced people doing the work who are not learning on the job. They know how to do that job. We've done over 1,000 installations throughout Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts, and Pennsylvania. We just completed the largest roof-mounted solar system in New York City, about 1.5 million watts. We are the largest solar installer in Connecticut on a national, regional, and more solar systems per week than anybody else. Go to the next one. We do commercial, we do municipal, but the backbone of the company is always going to be residential. That's how we grew, that's how we got to where we are, and that's why we're here. We want your business. This is what excites us, and that's why we love these Solarize campaigns. Talked about a little bit of financing. I want to talk about how solar is such a good investment. Robert's example previously said $11,500 out of pocket. Mine was a little lower here, $11,150. But you can see that at the bank you're not getting a lot of money, a lot of interest on that. Just under 1.5. You're still under 2% with CDs. Bonds gets you 5.5. The stock market's 7, 8, 9%. But your investment in solar, that same investment, looking at what it's doing everywhere else, it's getting you an average of 10 to 14%. And remember, the cost of electricity is going to continue to rise. So that investment into solar is just going to get better and better and better. And once you've invested in solar, you don't care if it rises because you've locked in your costs. And as soon as it's paid for, then your cost of electric is zero. You can do a lot of research online. You're going to find lots of information about solar panels, but then the rest of what you're going to try and research is probably the gray area, really the engineering in your. We feel that Phono, Solar, LG Electronics, and yes, it's the same LG that does all the appliances, and SunPower, 3 of the very best panels in the entire world. There's over 100 panel manufacturers, but there's probably just a handful that are good enough to be here, and what Robert said, they're all vetted. These are known quantities. These are proven panels. we want your business. We're here to meet with you. We're all here gonna get your information, and call you and visit with you. Your complete satisfaction and peace of mind, that's our mission. It's always been our mission. We've grown the business through referrals, and we continue to grow the business through referrals because we have very satisfied customers. And I guess that's it.
All right, so we're going to open up to questions and answers, and if each installer wants to send somebody up to help answer those questions, that would be great, because as I mentioned, these guys really are the experts, so I don't want to answer your questions, I want these guys to. We'll do a couple questions, and then we will break and let you talk to these guys on a more one-on-one basis, and I'll repeat your questions as they come in, so you have one?
I'm just wondering, before addressing these guys, can I ask Scott a question? Sure. Or Melissa. What I've heard here, Scott, is there's some federal incentives, there's some state incentives. Has the town come up with anything where, for example, it says, you know, we're going to help you finance the panels on your house, and we're going to treat it like, what do we pay, property tax? We're going to treat it like a supplemental property tax bill, and you can pay us over time. It seems to me like that would really encourage townspeople to jump on the bandwagon here and, where they can, put those panels on the house. Has there been any consideration in that regard?
No.
And I can actually help answer that. So what you're actually talking about is a phenomenon called property assessed clean energy, which is open right now to the commercial market in Connecticut. We're one of the first states to pass a commercial property assessed clean energy program, but it's not yet legal for residential property assessed clean energy. But one of the good news is about solar is that there are no property taxes on it or anything like that. There's no sales tax in the state of Connecticut and no property tax, so that is one advantage. But the financing mechanism you're talking about, there are other people out there thinking about that and how to make it work, but currently it would require legislative action.
Are there town
Actually-
permits involved here?
Oh, go ahead, and then I'll just pipe up.
Are there any town permits involved with the installation, and do they take care of it, or do we take care of it?
I'll let you guys jump in. Anybody?
We try to make it as turnkey as possible, so we are taking care of all the permitting. We have you sign off on an agreement that gives us permission on your behalf to go and get those permits.
Yeah, all of that's included on this turnkey.
Pull a building permit, like for any of the improvement to the home, and, you know, it's approved by the building department and inspected.
Yeah, it's actually 2 permits, it's building and electrical. So.
I was wondering what the maintenance is on
The question was,
panels?
what is the maintenance?
Really, there isn't any.
Yeah, I mean, really, there's one replacement part if you choose to go with a central string inverter. It'll need to be replaced generally around 15 years. They have a 10-year warranty for the most part. Around 15 years, you'll need to replace that.
You said elite panels too. Are there different grades of panels?
I can safely say that, I mean, all of us are using, you know, very,
Everybody's got
very
the same panels?
similar quality panels. We're all going to use, you know, top of the line stuff. Very similar warranties. That's why the town and SolarAce, they vet all of these panels. They look at all of them, and they have to approve them, or else we can't use them.
In terms of the panels themselves, in terms of the actual quality, they're probably all relatively comparable. Some panels do have different attributes, so, you know, there's an all-black module versus a the silver frame with the blue polycrystalline cell, and from the aesthetic perspective, some people feel like that's nicer. You know, it is an additional cost just for the product, so hence that's why, you know, we're talking about a base price, but there are adders. A lot of times you run out of real estate up on the roof before you cover 100% of your electric bill. So the SunPower panel, I think we're all SunPower dealers.
Same efficiency?
You know, the SunPower panel will give you more watts per square foot. So, you know, you can produce more power in a smaller space, which some people, limited roof space, might be interested in.
I think most of us, when we're designing your systems, we're going with the basic panels initially, and we're going to move to the SunPower panel because it has many more watts output, because we're running out of space on your roof, and you kind of told us at the first meeting, I want to wipe out my entire bill, and we're only getting maybe 60% of it. We go to a higher efficiency panel. It comes at additional cost, but it meets your goals. And then we kind of show you both ways to go, and then you make that decision.
Yeah, generally speaking, there's several options out there available to you. After I sit down and talk to you, we're going to get an idea of where we need to go.
So you say about the average cost is about $12,000 for a house here in Connecticut. That's what I saw on one of the.
Yeah, that's based on a
slides.
7 kilowatt system. Is you're talking about after incentives and everything.
Probably going to save you about $120 a month in electricity,
Something like that.
$140 a month in electricity.
And that number, basically somebody took, 500 systems and just added them all together and divided by 500. It doesn't mean that's the
Right.
size you need. That's where we come in and we figure all that stuff out.
So what would you say the average price range in Enfield is?
It's completely different for each person.
Yeah, it's really tough to say because when we go out and we take a look at your house, there's basically two major things that determine the size of the system. It's how much space you have on your roof, or barn, or garage, or yard, whatever, and the size of your bill. So, I'm pretty sure all of our goals are to take care of 100% of your usage. If you have more usage than we can take care of on the roof, well, then the roof dictates the size of the system. So.
Did you say that dollar amount corresponded to $120 a month kind of ballpark electric bill?
So what I would say, because this, we could probably go on forever with
Yeah,
this.
right.
Everybody's house is going to be different. We have a competitive supplier market in Connecticut, so everybody's paying a different amount for electricity. So the best thing to do is have it from you and give them a copy of your bill and really just dive into the specifics. And they can do some of that over the phone, but they're going to want to come out to your house and sit down with you and really look at your unique situation. Question over here?
What is the difference between this incentive program and the usual state tax rebate that they've been offering for several years now?
Sure, so this is, you're actually getting the same incentives and the same rebates as anybody that went solar in the state of Connecticut right now. However, because we've partnered the town with these installers, they're able to lower some of their marketing costs, they're able to be more efficient with their deployment of the technology. So they're really offering a product that's cheaper to begin with, and coupled with those incentives, you're achieving even more savings. So it's the same incentives available. If you chose to pursue solar with another installer, you might be able to get those same incentives, but they wouldn't be able to reduce the cost as greatly because they don't have the same efficiencies offered through this program.
Yeah, and just to add to that, a big piece of this is the town, vetting all these installers. I mean, they look at our contracts, our references, our equipment, so they're looking at all that. As you said earlier, there's close to 100 installers, over 70 installers in Connecticut. It really does a big portion of the work for you, having them do that, and then you have installers at this level to be able to do your project.
So how are the three chosen?
So the state, our agency, the Clean Energy Finance Investment Authority, released a request for proposals to all of the installers who are eligible to receive those incentives. So all 70 some odd installers had the opportunity to bid into this program, and a number of them did. We went through an initial vetting process where we narrowed that list down, and then a selection committee from your town comprised of town officials and members of the Energy Task Force came out. They interviewed all of the installers that they'd shortlisted, and ultimately picked this handful of installers. So all of them actually had a chance to pursue this. Many of them chose not to for geographic reasons, or maybe they're more interested in another space in the industry. But these guys were vetted by both town committee members and Melissa herself.
Yeah, and I want to say just enough to establish a relationship with everybody, because I'm here all the time. These guys are here all the time. So our committee got pinged into our inboxes a bunch of 30, 40 page proposals from these guys.
Longer than that.
With like charts and graphs and executive summaries, and costs per kilowatt hour and history of customer service, and we read them and our heads were spinning, and then Smart Power let us know that they had a session planned with an engineer that they hired for the sole purpose of backgrounding us and spending pretty much of a day, and Matt Koppler, our town manager, spent hours, and I spent hours in that session down at Sepia with Kate and Robert, kind of being coached on how to do a smart, knowledgeable interview with the installers. Understanding the base price and the adders, and how to not make apples and oranges comparisons. And then the interview process took place, and Matt and I think Derek were involved in that. So it was really a lot of thought and care to choose the folks that were chosen.
Yeah, these guys would probably be happy to tell you how many hoops we've made them jump through. Any other questions? Yeah.
A question. If you opted for the outright purchase option, is that something that potentially down the road would be covering your homeowner's insurance, or possibly increase your homeowner's insurance in case there's any damage to those modules?
So the question is, homeowners insurance?
Yeah, it's, your homeowners will increase. What I've seen is $20 to $60 a year, something like that.
Yeah, generally
Just curious.
speaking,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, obviously, all the companies offer a labor warranty on all the work that we do, as well as the actual, materials, the project components, modules, inverters have their own manufacturers warranties, but none of those really cover force majeure or acts of God. So you probably want to report it to your homeowners. But generally, what we find is it's an extremely nominal amount,
Good.
a few dollars a month.
With the average system, what you're going out of pocket investing, it's probably your furniture in your house is worth more than what you're putting into your solar. So it's not going to hit your insurance that high.
Very good.
Any other questions?
Been paying attention to this for a lot of years, and one of the things I was hoping to see someday was that you could actually buy it in stages. So I'd say buy $5,000 a year or $3,000 a year so that you can afford it.
Okay.
Is this something that you can actually buy a portion of it and then say get 50% of your bill coverage, and then 3 years later do another 50% of your bill?
It's a great question, and we do that sometimes when we see somebody telling us that they're going to do, in-law suite or something. We design it with anticipating putting more panels, but I think incentive-wise, you'd be hurting yourself. The incentives are the best now, and they're going to go down. So when you're ready to do it in 3 or 4 years, you'd have less incentives. The cost per watt's probably going to be higher.
But there are incentives available so that if you did add to your system, it'll be
whatever.
a one-time deal on the incentives.
Robert, you'd be saying.
So the incentives will continue to drop over time, so they'll become lower and lower. We do cap the incentives at 10 kilowatts, so if you were adding to the system and it was becoming in excess of that, you would no longer be able to receive them. But the great news about kind of the question you're asking is now there's a lot of financing options available that allow you to spread that cost out over time. I think a lot of these guys will tell you there's also some economies of scale to this, so if you're putting on 2 very small systems, it might be a little more expensive than putting on a larger system up front. And like Peter said, the incentives are going to be dropping over time. But again, this is something that, when you're sitting across from these guys, they'll be able to design that and take that into mind. And there are some things that they can do to anticipate that.
Yeah, the good news is the technology's there now where it actually is easier now than, say, 5 or 6 years ago to expand. It's a bit more challenging then.
So let's take one more question, and I think we should just kind of open it up. There's plenty of representatives here from each group for you to speak to. Yeah, go ahead.
Just a follow-up question on one thing that you folks had said, somebody said earlier, or somebody asked about, when power goes out, the panels go out, so you have no access to the power you're creating. Is that correct, unless you have a battery?
Unless you have a battery backup system, yeah. The solar panels are going to go into a safe mode. They're looking at the grid for a sine wave. Power goes out, they don't see that sine wave, they go into safe mode, they will not create energy anymore. They're fully capable of doing it, but they won't because the grid is the backup. So they don't have anywhere to send any excess energy, they're not going to produce energy. If you get a battery backup system, the battery backup system is a buffer between the grid and the watts, and it looks to the solar panels as if the grid is still there. It just sends the excess to the batteries, which are charging now, and then your house uses what you need, any excess goes to the batteries, and it's there the next day, the next day, the next day. There's some interesting technology that's hit the market, some inverters that let you get up to 1,500 watts while the sun is hitting the panel. Nothing at nighttime, doesn't store it, but pros and cons. If it gets cloudy a little bit, that 1,500 will drop to 300, 400. It's not steady state 1,500, so it's not the same as a battery backup. But generally speaking, just for safety for the utility workers, if the grid is down, the solar panels are not going to power anything back into that grid because it would be a safety concern for those utility workers. It's a great question.
What is the cost of the battery backup, the average cost?
Well, we offer a couple of different battery backup packages. However, what loads you want to run. So, backup or off-grid power. It's not like you've got the hot tub, the TV on. So it's something your sales consultant can discuss with you when they come out to the house and they want to look at what critical loads you really want to run, how big your system is, and sort of size it from there.
Want to size it to your need.
You guys talked about the replaceable inverter. What's the cost of that? 15 years? Is that
Well,
It's hard to
easiest part?
15 years down, but 3,000 to 5,000 if you have one inverter. That'd be my guess. There's also the opportunity to design a system that has microinverters, which now you're looking at a 25-year warranty on microinverters. So that eliminates that altogether.
And I do just want to mention, if you chose a product like the CT Solar Lease, which has a 20-year term,
Right.
That's actually the leasing company's responsibility. So if your inverter went in year 19, they would have to come out and put a new one in.
Then you buy the system at the end.
Is any of this equipment affected by surge coming from the power?
All inverters and all equipment has to be able to, well, in terms of a surge, I mean, they all have to be able to withstand a lightning strike,
I had a transformer.
turn off and turn back on and keep working, so they wouldn't be damaged. They wouldn't be damaged by the surge.
Okay.
It's part of the IEEE listing of all inverters in the state of Connecticut.
So Melissa wanted to say a few words, but just wanted to let you know that if you signed up when you came in, you will be hearing from the 3 contractors, so you don't actually have to sign up again. If for any reason you do not want that, let us know, but the sign-up sheets will be distributed to all the installers.
Great, and I just wanted, before we break very quickly, to thank these articulate, informed people and all of you for coming out on a weeknight and to say that we've been talking about technology, but the other piece of Solarize is the people-to-people outreach, creating the buzz so that everybody knows we have this great deal and 5 months to capitalize on it. So every month, there will be at least one solar ambassador opening their house on a Saturday or Sunday for folks to come in. Greg Mark is going to let us know his date as soon as he asks his wife. Al is probably going to do January, February. And we will use your contact information for no other purpose than to inform and inspire you on this campaign. But we'll keep you informed. And if you, by any chance, think this is really cool, you can talk to Greg, or where's Val, or
George.
Anne Marie, and Dan, who are brand new to the committee, but they'll listen and then we'll huddle, or to me, because we're going to try to have a lot of outrageously fun activities going along with this campaign.
And if you want to see a CLMP bill with no cost at all, George over there. George, put your hand up. George, put your hand up for a second. He can show you his bill because it's flat. There's no electric costs on there.
We have some business cards that are just about the Solarize program. So if you want to take a stack of them, they're at the tables where the cookies are. Put them where you work, put them at places you shop. Just leave them around, and it has the 3 installers' phone numbers on the back. So it's just a nice way, without using a lot of paper, to get the word out. So if you can, take some. Put them around town.
Oh.